I was trying to touch up my nail polish so I wouldn't look like a complete mess, and then I spilled it all over my fingers and it won't come off. So my fingers are red now, my nails are still a disaster. Welcome to the video. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel and another video about living in Bahrain. For those of you who are new, hi, my name is Amy. I've been living in Bahrain for about a year and a half now. So I make videos about my life here. I also make videos about travel, my no bayou, and generally how to live your most wonderful and fulfilling life. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, then why don't you go ahead and subscribe? For today's video, I've taken a bunch of you guys' different questions and kind of smushed them all together into one video. So today we're kind of going to be covering the initial and most important things you should know when you are moving to Bahrain. So this is going to be the perfect video for those of you who are about to make the move, maybe considering making the move, or just for those of you who have no intention of ever coming to Bahrain, but just like to learn new things about places. This is good for you too. Okay, and on that note, let's get into the video. Okay, so the first thing that you're probably going to be thinking about if you're moving to Bahrain is getting a visa. If you're just coming here as a tourist, it's super easy. For most, maybe all, not sure, don't quote me, but for most countries, you can just turn up at the airport and say, hey, I need a tourist visa. And you pay them however much money depending on how long you want to stay, and there you go, you're in the country. If you want to work here, it's obviously a different process because you're going to need a residency visa that will allow you to live here and work here. What's happening with this? I don't know, it's not relevant to what we're talking about, so let's move on. Organizing and obtaining your residency visa is mostly going to be up to your employer. They're going to have to do the bulk of the paperwork, and they should direct you through the visa application process. I know when I was initially applying for my visa, there was a bunch of paperwork that I needed to get done. You have to have like medical reports. I needed to have like something that was stamped by a lawyer's office. I don't remember, it was a little while ago when I first got my visa, but there was a bunch of paperwork, and so my employer sent a full list of everything I needed, where I could obtain all of that, where I needed to take it, or if I needed to send it to them, or if I needed to bring it in person. So that responsibility should really be on your employer, and if they are kind of leaving it more up to you, then I would definitely just contact them and say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, so please help me. Once you get here, you will complete kind of the second stage of the visa process. Some of it needs to happen when you're in your home country, and then when you get here, you go for another medical checkup. They take your fingerprints, and then eventually you'll get your CPR card. This is what a CPR card looks like. Ignore my disgusting nails, obviously. There's just a picture of you on one side, the other side has a little chip and pin device, and then you have all your information in the center, which I'm not going to expose on the internet. This thing is super important. You need this to rent an apartment, get a phone contract, go to the doctor. Like, this is what you need to basically function as a person in society when you get to Bahrain. So it's really important that you have one of these and get one as soon as possible. The last thing I just very quickly want to touch on while we're talking about the visa process is it is not acceptable or legal at any point for your employer to take and withhold your passport. It's very easy when you move to a new country. You don't know the laws, you don't know anything, like you're brand new, you don't know how the system works, and someone in authority says this is how this works, it's very easy to just believe them. So just know, if they ask for your passport, say no, I need to hold on to my passport at all times because that's the law. Okay, so the second thing you're going to need to know when you first move to Bahrain is how to find a place to live. Finding a place to live in Bahrain is so easy. In the space of one afternoon when I got home from work, I started looking for apartments, found the building that I wanted, and secured this apartment and moved in one afternoon after I got home from work. That's how easy it is to find and secure a place to live in Bahrain. So I can tell you the process that I went through because it worked out really well for me. All we did was we went into Google and started searching like apartments in Jaffa or apartments in Manama, and then thousands of them will come up. Like really, when you look around Bahrain, you just think there must be 10 apartments for every person who lives here because there's so many apartment buildings going up all the time. You will not struggle to find one. So when you find an apartment that looks nice and it's within your price point, it's looking like a winner, you can either contact the estate agent directly and have them show you around, but bear in mind that there is always going to be a little bit of an upcharge when you go that way because they make commission. The other option, which is what I did, was to find out the name of the apartment building where the apartment I liked was located, and then I went there in person and spoke to the apartment or building manager. They'll be able to show you all the apartments that are being rented directly through the building, and that winds up being a little bit cheaper and easier because there's no middleman. And another thing that I want to touch on with regards to this is that there's room for negotiation. For instance, a lot of landlords will cover your water and electricity up to like a capped amount. And when we moved in, we also negotiated to have our Wi-Fi thrown in as part of the package. Another really useful tip, if you are a teacher and you're going to be in Bahrain for more than one academic year, is you'll probably want to leave during the summer. It's way too hot, and also you'll want to go and do other things or like visit family. So what we did last summer was we went to our landlord and said, hey, we're not going to be here for 2 months. Could we maybe just not pay you? So we came to an agreement where we just paid for one of those months and we saved a bunch of money. He still knew that he had tenants. It worked out for everyone. The third thing that you are going to want to address when you move to Bahrain is opening up a bank account. And again, this is pretty easy. You will need to have, what did I need to have? My passport. I think I had a contract from my employer to prove that I was working here, and my CPR, and I took all of those things. You go to the bank, you say, hey, I want to open a bank account, and you do. It's really, really easy. The only bothersome thing about it is they don't mail your card out to you like they do in the UK. You have to go back and collect it a few days later, which is hardly the end of the world. The next thing you might want to think about when you get to Bahrain is how you're going to get around, whether you want to rent a car or not. There are pros and cons to renting a car in Bahrain. The pros is obviously that you have a car and you can go anywhere you want to go. It's also relatively very, very cheap. The petrol prices are super low here, and it's just very cost effective. If you were going to rent a car, it's not this huge expense. The cons of renting a car would be that the driving here is different than I'm used to. It's not as bad as the driving in Kuwait, and I hear that the driving in Saudi Arabia is even worse, but I wouldn't feel comfortable driving on these roads just because you need to be a very assertive driver, because no one's gonna let you in. They're gonna pull out in front of you, they're gonna swerve all over the road, and I just don't have the self-confidence in my driving to do that. And if you are like me and you don't want to get involved with that, then you can get Ubers everywhere. And Bahrain is very small, very, very small, so it's never going to be super expensive to get anywhere, especially because the price of petrol is so low. So Uber rides are really, really cheap. But I've said this in a different video, Uber over taxi. All Uber drivers in Bahrain are taxi drivers anyway. It's not just some random guy in a truck. It's an actual licensed taxi driver, but it's cheaper and you're not going to get ripped off. Whereas taxi drivers, a little bit sketchy sometimes. Not all of them, but some of them sketchy. Okay, and the last big question I'm going to be answering today is, what do I pack to go to Bahrain? I did a whole video on like what women should pack to wear in the Middle East, and I focused it mostly on Kuwait, but I did reference different places in the Middle East too. I'll link that down below, but it's worth just reiterating that I pretty much wear what I wear at home. Like with all things, just take into consideration where you're going, what you're doing, and who you're with, and dress accordingly. But yeah, you don't need to buy new clothes to bring to Bahrain. What I will say is that the summers get hot. When we get into the summer, it does go into the 40s Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I feel like it's over 100. I don't know. I don't understand that way of measuring things. But it's hot. So pack loose things, cool things. And then on the flip side, make sure that you pack some warmer things for the winter. It really doesn't get that cold here. And so people, including myself, don't pack winter clothes because it only goes down to maybe like 12 degrees Celsius, which isn't that cold. That's like summer weather in the UK. But because the change in temperature is so extreme, it feels like it's freezing. And so you will need to have maybe like a scarf, a thicker jacket, just like some warmer things for the winter, because even though it's technically not that cold, it feels like you are freezing. Okay everyone, I've been talking for a very long time as per usual, but I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you'd like to check out some more of my videos about living in Bahrain and the Middle East, then I'll link that playlist down below so you can go and check it out. And thank you to everyone who's been asking me questions and throwing out video suggestions. I really appreciate it because I want to make content that you guys want to watch. Otherwise, I'm just a crazy woman sitting in a room talking to a camera with no purpose. I don't want that to be my life. If you guys did enjoy this video, please go ahead, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And for those of you who have already, you are the Odd Squad and I love you. But until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all so much, and I'm gonna go address this hair situation now. And yeah, I will see you all soon. Bye.